YouTube, welcome back to my channel. I'm your host TKK and we are back with another video, guys. It's a super random video. Was not planning on making this, but I got to a point where I just said, I want to make some content for my channel, and I want to explain a little bit more about what's been going on. I've had pretty much the summer from hell, and I even said here, it's July 24th. I'm just going to throw this up, get it to you guys. I try to get some of my dates together so that I could be able to articulate a timeline of what's been going on. If you guys been following my community tab, I posted, some of the things that I've had going on, but I haven't. I even made some content, talking a little bit, but yeah, I'm gonna just kind of spill this all out here. So first and foremost, my channel is not. It was never made for technology. I understand the business of it, and once I monetized it 3 years ago, when I started, when I reviewed my LGC one, I'd say, you know what, this is my niche. This is my niche, whatever you want to say. This is my thing, and how I could make some paper off of here. And so, with all businesses, you listen to trends, and so you gravitate towards that. But all about TKK, this channel exists. Let me just tell you, I have maybe 700 videos, and the one delight that I would get from this is, if Lord forbid something happens to me, my kids, my family, my friends, any of the young men or women I've mentored, they'll have a collective of something to kind of hold on, because death is just so random, and it just always leaves us with a void. Obviously, we never expect it, even if we got a patient that's in hospice. And I don't mean to be insensitive if anybody that may see this is going through something like that. I'm just trying to get my point across. This is something that my kids, I think about my youngest son, specifically my junior. I feel like my kid can go to this and he can be able to just, I would hope that he can look at that and he can hold on to all the different various content. I've shared many a times. I had a channel before this channel, gaming channel, had over 1,000 videos. It had content on it that I wasn't proud of, and I deleted it for this very reason. I would never want my people to be able to look at me and say, man, this is the image of him. This is the image what you've seen in this 3 years with me just doing what I'm doing. So getting that out the way. All right. So let's just talk about like the string of events. I think Mother's Day, I went to visit my mother. I could be wrong. Again, this has been a hell of a summer. I went to see my mom, had a good time with my mom. Plan to go to Mother's Day dinner. Let me get this to correct. All right, I used the pause and resume thing, right? Because I wanted to get my dates together. So yeah, Mother's Day, I went to see and spend time with my mother. I left, and I'm looking at the calendar. I left that Wednesday with the 15th from Detroit. Spent time with my beautiful kid's mother here that weekend. The 20th, my mother unfortunately had a stroke. Okay, right? So that happened. And so that basically, I got a phone call from my sister. I have 3 sisters with my mother. 5 siblings in totality with her, 2 brothers, 3 sisters. This sister doesn't ever call me. So, off the rip, it was just one of those type of situations where I was just a little confused as to, why she was reaching out to me to call me, to tell me anything. And so, that was a little strange. She asked me if I was at home. Thank goodness I had got in from working from the day. And so by the time she called me, that's kind of the news she gave me. This is on the 20th of May, giving you a timeline, right? Right. So boom, that happens. I I don't immediately make any plans to go back to see my mother. I have another sister that is in the medical field. Thank God bless her. She was on top of doctors, nursing staff, everything. And so, by the 22nd, I want to say I was able to FaceTime my mother. At this point, her face is looking different and stuff. If you've ever experienced anyone that has had what I'll categorize as a severe stroke, because to my understanding now, there are different levels. And, when you see someone that is, went through some changes where a certain part of the brain has been attacked, if you will. That's the best way I can articulate it. You'll see that the face is starting to shift, right? So we FaceTimed, and that was that. My mother went in for a procedure of some kind on the 23rd, which is a Thursday, and she had another stroke. At some point, seizures started happening. So, I took a flight. I took a flight on the 24th. And I was there from the 24th to the 27th. This is Memorial Day weekend. I could have dates. I could have the holidays wrong, but this is the timeline. This is in May, right? This flight cost me about $2,000 because it was last minute. Typically, when I fly, I need to get a rental. I need to get a hotel. So it was around $2,000. And I'm saying all this just to kind of put it out there. So there was obviously the financial blow there. You know what I mean? I have to just come out of $2,000, just not just for a circumstance. And then I'm severely stressed. When I'm at the airport Friday the 24th, there's another episode happening. So I'm at the airport thinking, I'm not even gonna be able to say bye to my mother. You know what I'm saying? This is what I'm thinking. And so I get through the flight, very emotional. And so once I get to the once I get to the hospital, she's in tubes and everything else. Mind you, my latest vision of her when I seen her was the 22nd. That was Wednesday. She was talking different, but she was talking nonetheless. Again, she had an episode again on the 23rd, which is Thursday. I see her on the 24th, Friday, and she's in like ICU. There's tubes and there's all kind of other shit going on, man. So it's like, man, I'm thinking to myself, like, man, I literally was just holding this woman a week prior, like, so this was radical, within like 5 days, she had the first stroke on the 20th. She had several other, or a couple other, I don't want to over exaggerate, all within these days or whatnot. So, it got to a point where I was just like, hey, I have to make an executive decision. Now I'm a father of 8 kids. I've been married twice. So 2 of my daughters, one's an adult, one is a minor. They live in Michigan. So from time to time I'll fly there, but I've got 6 kids that live in the current state that I stay in. So it was tough, even though 2 of my sons are away in college, 2 adults live with me. And then I have 2 small minors. So, I made a choice where I felt like I needed to kind of split myself a little bit. So June 1st, 2nd, somewhere around there, I just kind of packed my bags, took one of my cars, and just drove to Michigan. And so I was in Michigan, right? And so, at this point, we're dealing with everything going on. There's some recovery, which is good, but we're dealing with the aftermaths of. Again, I was just talking to this person a week and a half prior, 2 weeks prior, cooking fried chicken and everything else for me and everything, and we conversing like we have been for the last plus 4 decades of my life, and so yeah, this was the whole thing. And so the beauty of that situation and circumstance was that my family, my brother, one of my 2 brothers, and my 3 sisters, we've been having better communication. There's been a group chat we've been a part of, and we've been talking and conversing, and that's just been a beautiful thing. And the level of unity that was showcased. One of my sisters lives in New York, New Jersey. One of those, I'm not sure she drove. She made the trip. The other siblings, they live in Detroit, so they were there. And it was a beautiful thing just to kind of see that unity, and just going to see my mother every day in the hospital and so forth. And it wasn't always the best of times, but it was definitely it was beautiful just to have the family there. So that was great. You know, you got to take the positives in every situation, especially if there's a negative one. So at some point, you know, my mother, she gets out the hospital. And this is great because she's now on the rhythm of therapy 3 days a week. She won't ever be this. I don't think she'll ever be the same. And I don't say that with malice, but, you know, it is my belief that, you know, you live a life and you take care of your kids, and at some point, you know, your kids have to take care of you. And that's just kind of where I feel things are. And so, you know, my mother, she's an incredible person, and she just does a lot. You know what I'm saying? She does a lot. And so, you know, I've obviously dealt with, you know, my own personal feelings about the situation where, you know, you feel guilt, especially the type of son that I am. Not to say that I'm any better than the other sons or anything like that, but just I know my relationship and how I feel and how I carry things. You know, I just have to deal with that, right? But the reality is she's here, and she's alive, and that's great. And so right now, you know, she's doing her therapy. She's talking. I bought her an iPad, you know, because we all have iPhones. So, you know, now we're FaceTiming every day and things like that. And I just kind of concluded my trip from being there last week or whatnot. And so, you know, that's that, man, you know. And so it's very interesting, man. Their second time doing therapy, I took her. I had drove my sports car there, or my muscle car there, one of at least. And so you know, I'm driving around. I take her to therapy. I get her out of therapy, and then I take her to like the east side and the west side, you know, of Detroit. You know, there's some segregation in the cities, and we just riding through and we talking. And then we go see my father. You know, saying my father lives on the west side, also Detroit. And you know, that was a good interaction and everything like that. And you know, that was like late June. I want to say probably, I don't even know when, man, but maybe like I'll say June 20th or something like that, man. I don't know. So my birthday was July 5th. I come home for my birthday. I had a great time. Last year, my birthday, my mother came here. It was her first time flying, and it was her first time meeting my kids, who are now my youngest kids, who are now 8 and 5. You know, so that was a beautiful thing, man. So a lot of memories. So this time of the year is just a little. It's a bit of a struggle because I'm dealing with a person again who, you know, got to experience some first things for the first time last year, and now she's different. You know, so I'm thinking, hey man, you know, everything's cool, driven back and everything, and you know, my father, he ends up passing on July the 10th. My birthday was on the 5th. And so yeah, that's been that's been a thing. So just dealing with that again. It's July 24th. It's literally 2 weeks. I'm sitting in this chair. It's kind of crazy and kind of morbid at the same time because I'm in this chair. I got these glasses on because I've been playing Street Fighter recently on my gaming channel. You know, just trying to get myself some joy. And you know, I can remember, like, obviously, like I said, it was 2 weeks ago. My cousin, she calls me. Ironically, I'm done. I just got finished playing in a session from a video I had posted, you know, around that time. And you know, again, she doesn't call me. My cousin and my father lived with her, and I'm like, what is she calling me for? You know, I get on the phone and she's crying and she's just like, you know, I'm sorry to tell you, you know, your dad died and everything like that. And it's just like, man, you know, how do you process this, right? So I mean, my mom was at a point where the in between of the story where she was dying, you know, body parts were failing and things of that sort. And so, you know, I'm thinking, hey, this is it for her or whatnot, you know. And I spent so much money being in Michigan, spent so much time away from my kids, my young kids. And I mean, I did everything I could just so that if it were the last moments, you know what I'm saying, I made sure that, you know, she felt supported, and I'm glad we got her to that point. And my father, man, this was not expected. He wasn't the most healthy person, but at the same time, you know, it wasn't a circumstance where it was like, you know, we think this is going to be his last days or anything like that. So that happened again 2 weeks ago. I was already planning a trip to come back on the 11th. So I had driven back to Florida, but I had already made a flight arrangement to go back to Michigan on the 11th to see my mother and, my father. Just I was going to be there a few days. And so I had no idea that I was going to be going there making funeral arrangements. Now, my father and my mother never married, and I'm my father's only child. As I shared in the community post, I was a twin that didn't make it. Well, I made it, but and so that's been something in itself. I do have the love of my siblings through my mother because my father acted as a father, a dad for them. He was involved, he was around. And, I have so many good memories and things about my father. The biggest is just that, he had me in a family that, I'm saying was, I don't want to use the word stable, but best I could say is structured, I just ended a phone conversation, 40 minutes talking to my uncle today, 35 minutes talking to my auntie. These are my dad's brother and sister yesterday, and it's just, I got a lot of good guidance and information from these people. But yeah, man, these are the things that have been going on. And I think the most important piece for me with this is not really just to, I want to say that I appreciate the grace and the condolences for the people on this community because this platform gets used for a lot of different ways. It's not just like a financial gain. In fact, the financial gain is so small to me, I dare say it's insignificant. And I don't say that with any ego or anything like that, but I put a lot of work into YouTube. I don't make the money that I believe I should be making, but it's a business that I'm learning. And so I say that to say that I enjoy what I do here. So the time that I take to cultivate and create this content when I'm talking about TVs or arcade sticks or whatever it is, these are just things that I love to do. And, the people that have raised me have put me in a position where, I should be doing the best that I can be. And that's what I try to give. But this channel holds a bigger meaning for me. It's a legacy piece as I think about it. I have one voicemail from my father, and it's hard to listen to it because it's just like it's the only thing I can hear of him. I can still hear my father, obviously being so fresh, but 20, 30 years, I don't know. Will I remember him? Will I be here? Who knows? But I like to think that this content that I'm putting together has a bigger meaning beyond being just a paycheck or a popularity. It's no longer about getting to 20,000, 50,000, 100,000 subscribers. I've made a good enough living to afford the things that I've posted without being supported directly by any companies offering me anything. And so I take blessings to that. I'm very grateful. But if this is to get a message across to my kids someday, my younger ones that quite will possibly forget my father. He was a great dude. We had a memorial service for him. It was his wishes to be cremated. And it was also affordable for me too, just because, again, financially, all the things that I've been just dealing with. But I wanted to make this content because I do appreciate and I do feel like I have a family on YouTube. Blood's thicker than water, but there's more than just being blood related that makes you family. So I appreciate, again, the condolences, the well wishes, all the kind things people have said, and the grace giving me the opportunity to just be human. Those that have direct contact to me that have reached out, I want to personally say thank you to Whisper Status. He reached out to me. I don't have the words or the nerve right now to be able to accept the call or to give the call back. And grieving right now has just been hard for me because I have such a positive support system in the house. It's hard to show that side. So I'm dealing with a lot of different things. These are new emotions that, I'm over 40 and I have to learn to deal with. So I felt like this would be a little bit of a therapy for me to be able to get this out here. And again, it would legacy stamp the story that I'm trying to tell in all totality with this, that someday will transition into being with my kids, right? That's what I got as I normally would end my videos. I appreciate you guys, man. Hope everybody's doing good. Peace, God bless. And as I always say, max love.